Raji.
Yes.
Would you have maybe a few minutes later today? Because I see you're very skilled and I'd really need to have my photo taken.
Definitely.
For
Yeah.
a business card.
Sure. Yeah. I'll do it.
Okay. Talk about that for you.
Srila Abhay Charanarvindam Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Prabhupada Vishnupada Hardali Jaya Sutar Satarishima His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Iskcon Almvik Gård Srila Prabhupada Ki Ramacharya Srila Saka Ki Prem se karo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Mathura Ki Jai Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Mayapur Ki Jai Aditya Ki Jai Janapur Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Gangamai Munamai Ki Jai Saraswara Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Gaur Premanande All glories to the Samadores All glories to the Samadores All glories to the Samadores All glories to Shri Guru Gauranga Glories to the Prabhupada
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasad Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Guru Acharya Shri The lotus feet are the only way in which you can obtain pure devotional service. I bow to the lotus feet with grateful reverence. Make space for me cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. I only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus love. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that reveals all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with fascinating knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The divinity sings on his character. Our spirit is the devotion of mercy, friendly war, and the Lord and Master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of the lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds, and we take shelter in the lotus feet. tror att jag kommer tillbaka ett tag. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari
Grantaraj Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Prabhupada Ki Jai, Lord Premanandi. So today we will read from the absolute topmost literature existing on this planet, Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 9, text number 16. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Pritya Prasada Vimukam Drigasavam. Britya Prasada Vimukam Drigasavam. Prasannaha Sarunalochananam. Prasannaha Sarunalochananam. Kiritinam Kundalinam Chaturbhujam. Kiritinam Kundalinam Chaturbhujam. Pitam Shukam Bhaksha Silakshitam Shriya. Pitam Shukam Bhaksha Silakshitam Shriya. Vritya Prasada Vimukam Drigasavam. Prasannahasa Runalochananam. Kiritanam Kundalinam Chaturbhujam. Pitam Shukam Bhakshasi Lakshitam Shriyam.
Nitya Prasada Vimukam Tridasavam.
Nitya Prasada Vimukam Drigasavam.
Prasannaha Sarva Bhushan.
Kiritinam Kudarinam Chaturbhujam.
Kiritinam Kundalinam Chaturbhujam.
Pitam Shukam Bhaksha Lakshitam Shriya.
Vitam Shukam Vakshasi Lakshitam Shriya. Friends?
Vidya prasadam vimukam ashavam.
Vidya Prasadam Vimukam Vigasavam.
Prasanaha saruna loshamanam.
Prasanaha Sarvalochanan.
Kritinam kundarinam shatupujam.
Kiritinam Kundarinam Chaturbhujam.
Vitam shukam vakshaye lakshitam shriya.
Vitam Shukam Vakshasi Lakshitam Shriya.
Vidya prasada vimukam vigasavam.
Vidya Prasadam Vimukam Vigasavam.
Prasadaha saruna lochananam.
Prasanaha Sarvalochanan.
Kiritinam kundalinam chaturbhujam.
Kiritinam Kundarinam Chaturbhujam.
Vitam shukam vakshasi lakshitam shriya.
Vitam Shukam Vakshasi Lakshitam Shriya. Okay.
Vidya prasadam vimukam vigasavam.
Vidya Prasadam Vimukam Vigasavam.
Prasana saruna lochananam.
Prasanaha Sarvalochanan.
Kundalinam chaturbhujam.
Kiritinam Kundarinam Chaturbhujam.
Vitam shukam vakshasi lakshitam shriya.
Vitam Shukam Vakshasi Lakshitam Shriya. Britya, the servitor. Prasadam, affection. Abhimukam, favorably facing. Drik, the very sight. Asavam, an intoxication. Prasanam, very much pleased. Asa, smile. Aruna, reddish. Lochana, eyes. Ananam, face. Kiritinam, with helmet. Kundalinam, with earrings. Chaturbhujam, with four hands. Pita, yellow. Amshukam, dress. Vakshasi, on the chest. Lakshitam, marked. Shriya, with the goddess of fortune. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead, seen leaning forward favorably towards his loving servitors, his very sight intoxicating and attractive, appeared to be very much satisfied. He had a smiling face decorated with an enchanting reddish hue. He was dressed in yellow robes and wore earrings and a helmet on his head. He had four hands, and his chest was marked with the lines of the goddess of fortune. Lord. In the Padma Purana, Uttarakhanda, there is a full description of the Yoga Pit, or the particular place where the Lord is in audience to his eternal devotees. In that Yoga Pit, the personifications of religion, knowledge, opulence, and renunciation are all seated at the lotus feet of the Lord. The four Vedas, namely Rik, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva, are present there personally to advise the Lord. The 16 energies headed by Chanda are all present there. Chanda and Kumuda are the first two doorkeepers. At the middle door are the doorkeepers named Bhadra and Subhadra, and at the last door are Jai and Vijay. There are other doorkeepers also named Kumuda, Kumudaksha, Pundarik, Vaman, Shankukarna, Sarvanetra, Sumukha, etc. The Lord's palace is well decorated and protected by the above-mentioned doorkeepers. Vidya prasada vimukam drigasam prasannaha sarunalochananam kirtinam kunnalinam chaturbhujam hitam shukam vakshasilakshitam shriya. The personality of Godhead, seen leaning forwardly towards his loving servitors, his very sight intoxicating and attractive, appeared to be very much satisfied. He had a smiling face decorated with an enchanting reddish hue. He was dressed in yellow robes and wore earrings and a helmet on his head. He had 4 hands, and his chest was marked with the lines of the goddess of fortune. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Mutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deva Gaurava Vichara Vishesha Chandravadi Prasad Shritam Bhagavati Siddha Bhagavati Uttavashloki Bhakti Bhagavati Shtiki Ukam Karate Vachilam Pangum Rangati Yatki Patamam Deshi Guru Mundivata Om Gyanati Niranda Sagilam Yashalikya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasma Shri Guru Namaha. This like that, which is making noise. Anyone remember this text? Evam Prasanna Manasa? Starts like that.
Bhagavad Bhakti Yogita.
Yes. It's also the first canto, right?
Yeah.
Bhagavatam.
Second
And remember the translation also?
No. I can look it up if you want.
Because the same word appears here in the beginning of the sloka. So that would be interesting to find out.
Evam Prasanna Manaso, Bhagavad Bhakti Yogita, Bhagavad Tattva Vigyana, Mukta Sangha Sajayate. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of God in the stage of liberation from all material association.
Yes. Very much pleased is the meaning of the word prasanna. And Srila Prabhupada gave a class of this text in Tokyo, I think 1970. And he started off by saying that one cannot learn these things the ordinary way. He was quoting the shloka, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi, Na Bhavet Grayam Indriya, Seva Mukhi Hivada Swayam Neva Spuratida. Seva, if you please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then this knowledge will be revealed to you from within the heart or in other ways, because Nabhavet Grayam Indriya. Indriya means the material senses. We know that 5 of those: taste, smell, hearing, seeing, and touching. It's not through those. They're actively engaged in the pratyaksha process, that direct perception. It's not through these senses really that we can realize spiritual knowledge. It's simply by pleasing Krishna. He says, Tadviri Pranipatina who worship Krishna, who pleases him, he gives you the revelation and the insight into these very deep mysteries of existence. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, it's quite interesting to see that Arjuna, he wanted to see the universal form, the Virat Rupa, but he couldn't do that unless Krishna gave him the transcendental vision that enabled him to see that. And Virat Rupa still is within the material universe. So what to speak of being face to face with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Fortunately, Supreme Personality of Godhead is also very merciful. So for those of us who haven't developed the purity of vision by having our eyes smeared with the ointment of love, Premanjanachari Bhakti Lochana. Locha means eyes, Bhakti. He can manifest in whatever way. The word manifest means that something that is becoming perceivable by Indriya, by material senses. Krishna can manifest in his transcendental form as the Archa Vigraha, the Murti that can be seen and touched, etc. Because he's merciful. Even somebody who is not at all inclined towards bhakti can perceive the deity form and appreciate, even if it's the so-called mundane beauty. Oh, nicely decorated statue with flowers. Still, that's a beautiful thing for a staunch materialist. They don't see this as God, like the devotees do, but they see this as some, beautiful piece of marble or wood or something like that. But they can still appreciate. Krishna is transcendentally situated in his original form. So at his sweet choice, he can manifest in the mind of a devotee, in the heart, and in this way be manifest and perceived by the devotee. So this is like an extraordinary, I don't know if sometimes you have the picture like it used to be in the school, that the teacher was sitting in the desk in the front and there was a student, and maybe some student was very much alert, had rapt attention to the teachings, and sometimes the student could come and bring an apple and put on the desk of the teacher. I don't know if they do this nowadays, but it used to be sometimes. Just as the disciple of the Bhakti tradition can bring firewood to the spiritual master, and a good student in a normal school can bring an apple. And what makes the teacher pleased, just because it's an act of affection and respect, so the teacher may give a little better grade and give some nice assignment and like that. So this principle is there, getting the mercy of the spiritual master, of the person who teaches you the science of self-realization. By pleasing him or her, you will get some extra mercy. It's very simple because it's personal. The spiritual master is not like an ATM machine. You tick in a code and there comes some knowledge or some money of it. No, it's based on personal relationship like this. And in this way, everything will be revealed in due course. And what is spoken about here in this particular shloka is a description of the personality of Godhead. It is not Krishna in this, Tribhanga, Lalita, his threefold form. This is a description of Narayan, of Vishnu, the Lord of Vaikuntanath. And he is very much non-different than Krishna, but there are some certain qualities that Krishna has which Vishnu doesn't. Vishnu doesn't play the flute, and he doesn't have loving affairs with the gopis. I don't think he tends the cows. There are like 4 qualities in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that distinguishes the Vaikuntha form of the Lord from the sweet Krishna form. And the Vaikuntha region, which is very much described, Prabhupada says in the Padma Purana, he calls it the Yoga Pit, the particular place where the Lord is in audience to his eternal devotees. Narayan is the Lord of Vaikuntha, and Vaikuntha is unmanifest for us. Vaikuntha is always existing. It's stated in the Vedas that before the creation, before the demigods, before Brahma, Shiva, etc., there was Narayan, and after these personalities and the entire material creation cease to be, there will still be Narayan. So Vaikuntha, Paravyoma, is the spiritual sky, which is ever existing. Creation is covered, it's discussed in detail in the Shastra, how they're covering the 8 elements, the solid state, the liquid state, the gas state, etc. Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kam. And then comes the state of the mind and the intelligence, and ultimately false ego. And every layer, every shell of the material creation is, I think, 10 times thicker or something like that. I don't remember. So the Brahmanda, the egg of the universe, has a shell. It's not as thin as an egg, but it's very, very thick, shielding the material energy from the spiritual energy. And then outside of this, you have the Viraj river, which is flowing from the body of Vishnu. And it's interesting if you do a comparative religious study, like we have in the mythology of the Styx is the river of death, and you have, I don't know in English, it's called Hades. Hades is a god of death waiting for you on the other side with his dogs, Kerberos and what his name is. And then you have Jamaraj, and you have the parallel of the Greek mythology and the Roman mythology of the gods of Zeus and Jupiter and Dionysus and Diana, whatever they are called. You find a parallel also in the Viking mythology. You go to Valhalla to see the abode of the Viking demigods like Thor and Odin and Freya and all this. You find this very much parallel to the description of the Vedic very elevated personalities who are in charge of managing the material universe, being appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're actually his personified energies, and as it's described here, particularly in this section of the Padma Purana, the demigods present there, the energies at the feet of Lord Narayana. The Vedas are everywhere. There's the flavor of Veda, of Vedic knowledge, everywhere in Vaikuntha. And we are shielded off in our material creation from the spiritual sky because we made some, wrong decision, which is kind of an option for us. And we became rebellious to Krishna. And the interesting thing is, even if we take up Bhakti Yoga, which means that we should, for example, accept everything which is favorable for strengthening and making the relationship with Krishna more sweet, and reject everything that will bring you further away from Krishna and disrupt or disturb the relationship we are trying to restore. Still, we can have the liberty of being rebellious against Krishna if you want to. Because a devotee is rebellious against Mahamaya, the external energy, Maya. Prabhupada used to say that we are at war with Maya in this world, because Maya is energy, in one sense not different from Krishna, in one sense separate, but her particular service is to prakshepa, she pulls us down from the spiritual situation that we have, and avarana, cover us over with ignorance, forgetfulness, and creates those weaknesses of heart that we suffer from, like that. So it's totally bona fide to be completely rebellious against Krishna in his form as Mahamaya, as a devotee. So if you have the tendency of being rebellious, sure, go on, but just make sure you're rebellious to the right thing. Not to Krishna personally, not to Narayana, to surrender to him like that. Purana is a very interesting scripture, because as Krishna mercifully reveals himself in the deity form for us who are just able to perceive what is manifest before us, before the senses. He also manifests as Shastra, as the revealed scriptures, particularly the Bhakti Shastras for his devotees. So, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharati Vihimira Aikantike Hare Bhaktir Utpata Jaiva Kalpate. Anything which is not dovetailed in the knowledge presented in Shrutis, that's the original Vedas, or Smritis, for example, the Mahabharata, the Itihasas, the Ramayana, and the Puranas, Bhagavad Gita, that is just simply a waste of time. It should be deeply connected to the knowledge presented in the scriptures. So devotees trust the spiritual master, the guru in the form of Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, other sadhus, and most of all the Shastra. So we have a 3-track back to Godhead like this. And things which are not dovetailed with the conjoint version of the Vedic knowledge of this, that is wisdom. So there are many paths described in the Vedas, and Krishna is actually warning the reader. And first of all, he's warning Arjuna, because Arjuna is the person he talks to, for getting lost within the flowery language of the Vedas. But Krishna is very well aware of that the main reason why we are here, in the first place, the desire that brought us here is a desire to be able to enjoy independently. So Krishna gives us all the facilities through the Vedic knowledge to live a decent, civilized life, following his demands and rules, the religious principles, and getting wealth and being able to enjoy, separate from him, enjoying a civilized way. That's the Dharma Arthakama Moksha. So he speaks about that in the Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, there are so many scriptures, particularly in older Vedas, that prescribe different means to attain this position. And then you have the Puranas, also to a large extent, giving you the instruction how to lead a good, civilized, comfortable life in goodness or passion or ignorance in this material world by following what's stated in the different Puranas. So there are quite a few of the Puranas, and out of those, we're generally regarding 18 of them as the primary, most important Puranas. So that you have 6 Puranas which are basically dealing with the mode of ignorance. You have 6 Puranas dealing with the mode of passion. And of course you have the Shiva Purana, that's Shiva is the master of the mode of ignorance. At the same time he's the topmost devotee. Is Vaishnavana Yata Shambhu. So he has his very own special fitness. Lord Shiva, he's not Jiva Tattva like us, and he's not Vishnu Tattva, but in a sense he's more non-different with Krishna, because it's described how Lord Shiva is like yogurt, like curd, which is a product of milk. So in one sense, Shiv Shambhu is non-different from Krishna, but he's very special. So he's called Ashutosh because it's very easy to please, to get benediction. But he's also very easily angered. You know, like when he gets very angry, he can do very horrible things like cutting. You don't mess around with Lord Shiva, but you could ask his blessings that he kindly remove the obstacles on the path of bhakti and anything that has to do with Krishna. So, Puranas in the mode of ignorance, Puranas in the mode of passion, and then we have 6 Puranas in the mode of goodness, like the Vishnu Purana. Obviously Vishnu is the predominant ruler of the mode of goodness. It's like Brahma Purana is part of the middle section of the 18 Puranas. And then you have Padma Purana, Lotus Purana, It's mentioned by Prabhupada in his purport. And then, of course, you have the Amala Purana, which we are studying right now. The Bhagavad Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very cream, the very essence of all Vedic literature, that which was compiled by Srila Vyasadeva due to his slight frustration of not being able to broadcast the essence of spiritual life, which is Bhakti Yoga. So we know Padma Purana is quite an extensive work with 12 cantos. Altogether, it is 18,000 shlokas, many, many chapters. Padma Purana is more than 3 times as big as the Bhagavatam. And it has 7 sections or kandas. It's about 55,000 verses. And in this Uttarakanda, which is the 6th part before the conclusion of the Padma Purana, there is a quite elaborate description in the form of conversation between Shiv Shambhu, the greatest Vaishnava, and his consort Parvati. She's asking about how are things going on in the spiritual world. So he's explaining all these things. Prabhupada very briefly quotes here in his purport. And what we can learn from this, like we said previously, Prabhupada writes how the 4 Vedas are present there personally to advise the Lord. Like Narayana would need anyone's advice, but he enjoys being advised, even in his 4-handed form. And he enjoys being chastised in his small 2-handed form by his mother. So, I mean, who can understand the Lord? So the Vedas are there, personified. We read very, very beautiful prayers by the personified Vedas in the 10th canto. So you can imagine, how it is in the Vaikuntha Lokas where they are present. And it's a very protected place. It has gates everywhere and walls bedecked with beautiful jewelry and gold and touchstone, and everything is eternal, it's self-effulgent, and the safety of Vaikuntha is very well kept in different sections. Like you have the outer gates, southwest, east, and north, and then with gatekeepers, and it's described here that the inner, the 3rd layer, are the famous Jaya Vijay, watching the gates to Vaikuntha, not to let any people in, anyone who is not qualified. Because there you find Narayan, Lord Vishnu, giving audience in his yoga pit. And he's also surrounded by servants, many beautiful women. He's constantly in the environment of the beauty of Vishnu. He's a youthful person with a glossy bluish hue, with his 4 arms and decorated with, beautiful yellow dhoti, the Kastuba jewel on his chest, and, surrounded by the Vedas and energies, the Jnana energy, the Bala energy. And everything is very well decorated and protected by the doorkeepers, as Prabhupada says here. So you have an atmosphere of total satisfaction and bliss by the Lord and by all his associates, all his devotees. And they are worshipping him passively or as servants, like this. There is no intimacy in the Vaikuntha Lokas. There are Vishnu and his different forms, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and they're all being served from, so to speak, underneath by his devotees. And their devotees are in total bliss and satisfaction doing that. One can read, to get from our perspective, We definitely respect servants, passively, actively servants of Vishnu. But what is unique with our bhakti tradition is that it's introduced what is called the higher relationships with God, the Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya Rasa. The relationship and the sweetness coming out of that relationship with all its varieties and things happening. That's coming all the way in our disciplic succession. Basically, it got a real boost from Madhavendra Puri, Ishwar Puri, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming down like this. And you can read Prabhupada recommended study of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, written by Sanatana Goswami, who was the direct disciple of Lord Chaitanya. It's a beautiful description in the form of like a traveler's diary, traveling through all the different upper planetary system in this universe, and then going through, to Svargaloka, Tapaloka, Shivaloka, and beyond, coming to the Vaikuntha Lokas. There's the Ayodhya also, where Lord Ram is residing, and all the way up to Braj, to Loka Vrindavan. And from the traveler's point of view, the first traveler is actually two diaries. One is from Narada Muni, the eternal spaceman. He is free to move in the material and the spiritual atmosphere to wherever he wants. So he just basically describes what he experiences when he does this journey from the earth all the way up to the spiritual world and Raja. And then from the perspective of a very simple devotee, Gopa Kumar, and like you have expectations when you go traveling somewhere. You went to, I know, Maharaj Prabhu's, you went to Angkor, for example, in Cambodia to watch the oldest and largest Vishnu temple in the world, which is really fantastic. It's not in India, it's in Cambodia, which is testifying to the fact that the Vedic culture was widespread all over. The Bharatavarsha was not just India, it was basically the whole world. So you go there and you find huge statues, then it became mixed with some Buddhism, of course, and a lot of trees being grown like that. But so you have expectations when you go and visit a place like that. I heard some devotees are going to see, I think Prabhu also going with Ramai, see Tirupati for a week in December, going to India, and you expect to see this huge Tirupati temple like that. You have expectations. So Narada Muni had his kind of expectations. Gopa Kumar has his. Gopa Kumar, he was in, where's Krishna? So he came to the Vaikuntha planets and met the Vaikuntha Vasis, the Vishnu Dutas basically. Many of them have a similar form, like Lord Vishnu, very beautiful. Also described in the Padma Purana, beautiful, holding the conch and the flower and the disc and the club, like that, looking like the Lord. And then Gopa Kumar became overwhelmed when he saw Narayana. He wanted to run, oh, here's my Lord. And for his vision, he saw Narayana kind of drop two of his arms and become Krishna. Similarly, what happened to the gopis when Krishna, he left the rasa dance once because, he was manifesting identical forms of himself, dancing with each and every one of the gopi. And every girl thought she was dancing with Krishna exclusively. It's just me and my Krishna. It became a little bit transcendentally puffed up. So Krishna thought, yes, okay, you want to be puffed up? I'll leave. So he left the dance and went to hide in the forest. And they became mad, the gopis. Like, where's Krishna? Where did he go? What did I do? So there was chanting everywhere in the forest looking for Krishna. Krishna, where's Krishna? So Krishna was he took his form as Vishnu, just kind of to hide, and was peeking behind a tree and looking. The gopis were coming, and then he stepped out and they, Lord Vishnu. So paid obeisances, offered very beautiful prayers to Vishnu, Supreme Personality of Godhead, creating all the universes and controller of everybody, and very accurate Vedic prayers coming from the gopis. But at the end, they became a little bit impatient. They said, "So okay, so have you seen Krishna? Have you seen Krishna?" And that love made Krishna so indebted to the gopis. He couldn't maintain his charade of being Vishnu. He lost his two arms too and became Krishna and went to the gopis. So similarly, Gopakumar coming to Vaikuntha, he was seeing Vishnu as Krishna. He just wanted to run and hug him. And he was stopped by the Vishnu Dutas. No, come on, you can't do this. This is not proper here. This is Vaikuntha. Here we pay our obeisances. Here we worship. But no hugging with the Lord like this. Okay, so Gopakumar has to restrain himself, and okay, I understand, out of respect to the Vishnu Dutas, so he abstained from this. And then he kept on looking, deeper and deeper in the Vaikuntha atmosphere until he finally managed to meet Krishna and the gopis and everybody else. So he has different expectations. So, but the thing is, Vaikuntha is in no way inferior by any measurement, because the Supreme Lord is there, Vishnu is perfectly happy, blissful, his devotees are there, completely liberated, completely pure, engaged constantly in devotional service to the Lord without any motivations. So it's a perfect situation. But then again, you read the Shastra and you understand, you go into Raj, you have an even more perfect. You have a more perfect. It's something hard to relate to. Like somebody says, this guy was dead, and that one was even more dead. So you can't say that because it's an absolute. So, but it's perfect in Vaikuntha, and it's even more perfect in Raj, in Goloka Vrindavan. So it's interesting to study the description of the spiritual world, how Krishna, one of some of his first expansions, like Narayan, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, and Ruda Pradyumna, are present there, and how things are going on, and how there's one quality we share with Narada Muni, because he is free material atmosphere. We can also do that, but we are not as free, because we made this mistake in thinking, and we got a ticket, like an open ticket to. It's an open return ticket to the material world, and we have to stay here until we fulfill criteria where we can return back. We can book our flight back to the Vaikuntha and back to Raj. So we can also navigate. This is the characteristic of the Jiva Shakti, Jiva Tattva, that we can be in the spiritual and the material worlds like this. Matter, which is transformed spirit, is only present in the material world, and it's designed in a way that it's becoming manifest, and then it lasts for some time, then it's becoming unmanifest. So we say it's created and it's destroyed like this. But the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the philosophy of transformation, the Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, that spirit transforms into matter, but it's only spirit. We are also transformed, unique individuals with free spirits, free will, meant to engage in relationship with Krishna in one of those 5 primary rasas. In particular, the Bhakti tradition is interested in the 3 upper rasas, spiced with 7 indirect moods, like humor, like chivalry, ghastliness, like fear. So you spice the primary rasa like that. Maria Yashoda has a primary relationship with Krishna as a mother. This is Vatsalya Ras. She feels very protective. She wants Krishna to be well fed, not thirsty, sleep well, and have, good shoes so he doesn't hurt his feet, his soft lotus feet when he's wandering around. So when he's away with the calves, the primary rasa of motherhood, Vatsalya, is mixed with a little bit of anxiety or fear for the welfare of Krishna. And what's Krishna doing now? I hope he comes back safely so I can give him a bath and give him something to eat, this and that. So you have this indirect. And everything in this world is aimed towards the experience of bliss. Because bliss, joy, happiness is the topmost satisfaction. And that comes from relationship. Relationship between one another, of course, but most of all, relationship with Krishna. So we established that. Specifically in the beginning, we are regarding Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, and we worship him a lot. We're paying our respects, obeisances, and we serve in that way. And gradually we become more and more purified. And he will reveal himself more and more through service, just like devotees who are engaged constantly in devotional service, they become tattva darshana. That means they see, they perceive the truth. And these devotees are the best people to seek the association with. Tadvidi pranipatina pariprashnana seva upadekshanti te jnana jnaninas tattva darshana. Because these devotees who have seen the truth, they can also deliver it to you. And by putting this little apple on the desk of a pure devotee, he or she becomes favorably inclined towards you and may want to start instructing you or even heavily reprimand you if you do something wrong out of for you, that you will help you remove unwanted things from your life, anarthas and aparats, and give you positive instruction about Krishna, about the spiritual world, about who Krishna is, how he looks like, what he does, what are the good ways of serving him, etc. So this is the position of the Tattvadarshi, a person who is seeing the truth and who is very merciful and is worthy of taking shelter of. None of these bogus so-called gurus teaching sense gratification, bhukti, or mukti, liberation, or that you are one with the God, and because we come here with the desire to be lords. Ishvara aham bhogi, siddham bhavanski. I am the Lord and I am the enjoyer, and everybody should bow down to me. So if some so-called guru comes there with a bed sheet on their head and some beard and saying, yes, you are God, I'm God, everybody's God. Yes, I'm the Almighty God, and I always wanted to be God. So now I got it confirmed here from Guru Maharaj. Thank you, I'm God. That's spiritual suicide completely. That's what's stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And this impersonalist Mayavad philosophy is spiritual suicide. You lose your identity, you lose your ability to enjoy the sweet rasa with another person that happens to be God. But he doesn't display that so much in the Raj. So, Mayavadi Bhashya Shunila Hoy Sarva Nash. Nash means totally destroyed, annihilated. Bhakti will be completely annihilated if you get into lending your ear to this sometimes very attractive, oh, I'm God? Yeah, very good. Don't do that. Just, Vishnu, 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 run away for your spiritual life. Like this. Yeah. So, and that's also why we are not too interested in the flowery language of the Vedas, as they describe, how you make yourself a comfortable materialistic life in the mode of goodness. Because Krishna is merciful. You do your ordinary dharma, be a good varnashram dharmi, which is a requirement for a civilized life. But then you will get your your wealth, your artha, and your kama, your enjoyment. He gives that to you. A devotee, he may do the opposite. If the devotee, I want Krishna, and all this other stuff around is just disturbances, material attractions, desire for fame, or any material desire, distractions. Krishna very kindly comes as Hari and he removes these things. And hopefully we are ready for it, because he may take away our attachment to material things. That may be a little bit painful, but then you realize, hey, wait a minute. He gives himself instead. Huh? Isn't that much better? You have example of a small boy. He was even a son of a king, like this. You know what I'm talking about? You know? Dhruva, are you here? So little Dhruva Maharaj, he was so full of desire. He wanted to have more opulence, more power than his father. For some reason we can get into later. He was very much offended and insulted. So performing all this severe penance and trying to strive very hard, Vishnu came and he realized, I'm a fool. I was just looking for broken pieces of glass, but instead I got the most precious jewel, diamond. So Krishna comes, he may take away stuff from us, relationships, or your car, or your TV, or your fame, or whatever, but he gives himself instead. So there's so much there. So we shouldn't be sad if something's taken away from us and we're attached to. There may be an obstacle for developing this sweet surrender and this mercy. Well, I think I will end here. I think we have 1 minute left if somebody would like to comment.
Question.
Okay.
Thank you for the class. My question about Shiva Loka and the devotees of Shiva. So I hear from other devotees of Krishna that the one who served Shiva nicely, at the end of his life, Lord Shiva come to that person and say Ram 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 on his ear, and this person go to also Lord Rama there. Is it true, or this devotee go to Shiva Loka and what is going on there?
Well, I'm not familiar so much with the details, but it makes a lot of sense. It was a Vaishnava, is very much respectful of the devas, or the demigods, because they're appointed by Vishnu to carry out very responsible tasks, very powerful tasks like this. They could give you a lot, could give you the world, but as a devotee, we don't want the world, we want Krishna. So the way we relate to devas is we don't worship them separately, like Ganesh or Brahma or Durga, or give me this, give me that. But basically the mood is, you are such a trusted devotee of the Lord, and Lord Shiva is the most trusted devotee of the Lord, according to Bhagavad Purana. So basically, how do we do it? Show me, help me, show me the path, remove like Ganesh. Generally in India, they worship Ganesh because he removes obstacles for material success. You see in every small little shop, they have a little Ganesh to make more business. People should come there and buy things and, pay. And to make a new beginning when you open a new shop, Ganesh is there. So we can have the same Ganesh, but we ask him for a new beginning. Like in our temple, we have a little Ganesh on the entrance to the temple room. We can look up and say, Dear Ganesh, let this be a new beginning for me, and please remove the obstacles in Bhakti Yoga. Those you know about, you can enter in. So you ask them for support. Hanuman for the protection, Shiva and Ganesh. It's perfectly fine. Just like you ask your spiritual master for advice and mercy, you can ask the devas. We don't worship them for material benefits. These are alpamedas, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, people with less intelligence. They can give you the best service of telling you how to better come to Krishna, better remove your obstacles, but you ask them for money or knowledge or fame or beauty or strength or something that they could give as benediction. You know, Hiranyakshipu, a perfect example. Eternal life, power of the whole universe, etc. That's Alpamenasan, less intelligent. Right? So, sure, you show respect to Shiva, but you don't need to worship separately. You know, you have a Shiva Linga, and you go for this thing, that thing. No, we don't do that to Shiva. We show them greatest respect. And they don't mind, because they're devotees. Okay?
What does the word yoga mean? It was in the purport. Yoga. What does the word
Yeah, I
mean?
don't know really, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur had this expression too. He discovered the actual place where appears in Lord Chaitanya. I kind of confuse it with the English word pit, which means that you, Maharaj, you know, pit is.
What came to my mind, because I also heard yoga, it sounded like a meeting point between, then I take it the meeting point between the spiritual and material. In a way, like yoga pit in Mayapur, it's a point where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is material.
Yeah.
But that's what I don't know.
The first word is yoga, and that we know means connection. So it may mean something like this, a place where connection takes place. So I don't know. The people, because you have the four Vedas are there, the energy is personified, and everybody's there to have the audience of Narayana. So there's connection going on at the yoga pit. So, but I will look it up. I have a couple of pretty good Sanskrit dictionaries. See if we can get a clue. Maybe confirms here with what's been said in class.
It means that a place where the Lord always resides.
Okay. A place where you can always connect to. Very good. Okay. So I think we should end. We have a lot of service to do to the Supreme Personality of God and His devotees. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.